I want to do a quick welcome video with you that also kind of quickly goes through our course syllabus addendum. So I'm not going to read through everything in this document, but you should definitely be reading it. And I do want to kind of hit through some of the highlights. So in this, you can kind of see my contact information, the grading breakdown, 65% exams, 20% labs, 15% quizzes, the extra credit. Now, because this is an asynchronous, online, fully online course, you're responsible for turning everything in on time. We're not doing late work. Late work is generally not accepted unless it's an extreme emergency, meaning you're incapacitated for an extended period of time. Things like getting busy, called into work, minor illnesses, internet trouble, family situations. Those are not emergency situations. Plan your time and commitments effectively. Don't wait until the last day, the last hour, the last minute to take a quiz, take an exam, submit a lab. Those due dates are the last possible days those things should be submitted. You should be working ahead of that pace such that if something does come up, you're still able to complete that assignment on time. Academic integrity code violations are going to be prosecuted to the highest possible extent, which includes an automatic failing grade for the course. This is not a second chance opportunity. There's zero tolerance for kind of any sort of academic integrity violations. So for your exams, you're going to have 5 exams throughout the semester, 4 unit exams, and a cumulative final exam. Of those 5 exams, the lowest exam score will be dropped. If you're happy with your unit exam scores, then you're permitted to use your drop score on the final exam and not even take that final exam. 5 exams, best 4 count, doesn't matter which 4 they are. The exams are required to be conducted using the lockdown browser, monitoring software, as well as the web camera. For the laboratory portion of the grade, you're going to be ordering an eScience lab kit. There are instructions on how to do that in that introductory model. After your lab kit's arrived, it's your responsibility to ensure that it contains everything that's necessary. If something is missing, contact the company immediately. There are no labs due early in the semester. The first lab isn't due until about a month after the semester has started. That ensures that everyone has time to get the kit delivered and that you can check to make sure everything's there in that packing list. It's your responsibility to do that as soon as you get that kit. We're not going to be granting extensions because you didn't check your package when it was delivered. And then when labs are coming due, you're realizing you're missing a key piece of equipment. So lowest laboratory grade is also dropped. So for quizzes, there's going to be 4 quizzes, 1 quiz about halfway through each unit. The quizzes are open note, open book. They don't require webcam or lockdown browser. Your lowest quiz grade ends up getting dropped. So there's 2 extra credit assignments that are available. Maximum extra credit you can get is a 2% increase in your overall average. This is going to be split amongst 2 assignments with 1 point extra credit for each assignment. That's the only extra credit that's out there for the course. Both of these are due very early on in the course, and these are not going to be accepted late for any reason. 1 extra credit assignment consists of just submitting proof that you ordered your lab kit. That, hey, first couple of days of the semester, you ordered your lab kit. You'll be posting a picture of your confirmation email or confirmation receipt that you have indeed ordered a lab kit. The other extra credit assignment just ensures that you have lockdown browser and Respondus monitoring installed and working correctly on your computer. These are some of the first things you should be doing in the course. So to really get started, you want to read through all the general introductory material that's found in that first module. And then you can kind of begin working on Unit 1. Some reminders and kind of thinking about how to be successful in the course. First, all of your work needs to be your own. We already mentioned this once. We're mentioning again, no academic integrity code violations. Those are going to get prosecuted to the fullest extent. Don't let it happen to you. One of the very first things you should be doing is ordering the lab kit. There's instructions on how to do that in the introductory module. That's also part of your extra credit right away. So it's to help yourself out very early on in the semester. Second thing you should do is to download the Lockdown Respondus monitoring software. Again, instructions on how to do this is in that introductory module. This gives you a chance to make sure everything's working correctly before you start taking exams and get an extra credit. We shouldn't be having technical issues right before an exam because this is something you can check on before you actually take an exam. So a lot of the rest of this document talks about kind of how to be successful, how to kind of go about your business. And I'll mention some mistakes that some students end up making such that hopefully you don't end up making those same mistakes. So the number one reason for someone not to successfully complete this course is due to procrastination. They get behind, they fall behind, they're not keeping up with the work. Don't let it happen to you. You really have to stay current with the material. You have to stay up to date with the material. Extensions are not going to be granted unless there's something extremely serious happening. All those minor life things, those aren't emergencies. That's life things. You got to make sure you budget your time properly. Every assignment in this course, whether it is a lab, whether it is a quiz, whether it is an exam, can be submitted early. Those dates you see are the last possible date. No extensions are going to be given, no late penalties. It's just if it's not in, it's not in. Don't wait until a date an assignment's due to begin working on it. In order to promote this, I'm not going to address questions on an assignment that are asked on the date it's due. If you waited until the last possible day to even begin looking at a lab or an assignment, you're running a risk. Don't wait until the last possible day. Look at things ahead of time. Submit things ahead of time. It's your responsibility to work ahead and ask questions before the due date if you're unsure of something. Being successful in chemistry involves being active. You really have to be an active participant. Chemistry is not learned by watching, but instead you have to be doing in order to understand chemistry. Simply passively and casually watching videos is not going to result in success. While watching the videos over lecture material, you should be taking active notes as you're watching it, just as you would in a traditional classroom setting. You're expected to be reading the textbook, doing practice book problems listed in the syllabus, doing additional problems. Those are all things that are necessary in order to be successful. These are not graded assignments. You're not being graded on reading the book, doing practice problems, but they're crucial for your success in this course. Although something may look easier straightforward in a video, that doesn't automatically mean it's going to be easy. It's not easy until you can independently do that sort of thing on your own. The only way to understand if you can do it is if you can actually do it independently. Don't say, boy, that video looked easy, or I will definitely be able to do something similar. You don't know you can do it until you actually have done it. The problem people run into is, they watch the videos and they're like, yes, I'm going to be able to do that. That looks real easy. But then they don't practice it. Then they get to the exam and they're completely lost. And then they end up saying things like, I don't know how I couldn't do it. It looks so easy on the video. Well, I can tell how that happens because you didn't do it independently. So you got to make sure before the exam that you're working through enough problems to make sure that you are understanding what's happening. Of your total time commitment for this course, I recommend about 25% of it should be in passive learning techniques. So passive learning techniques are things like rereading sections of the book, rewatching a video, reviewing notes, or reviewing PowerPoint slides. You're kind of looking at material. That's the smaller part, about 25% of your study time. 75% should be engaged in active learning techniques. When you're doing an active learning technique, you are the doer. You're not watching something being done or watching something that has already been completed. You are the doer. You're the action item. So this involves things like doing problems, answering questions, using flashcards for various memorized pieces. The mistake many people fall into is they spend too much time in passive learning activities and not enough time in active learning activities. Remember, 75% of your time should be doing, 25% of your time should be watching or looking. You want to make sure you're doing more active things as opposed to passive things. When you have questions, be sure to ask them immediately so I can provide you the help that you need. I check Canvas several times a day, including holidays and weekends. The sooner I know you're struggling with something, the sooner I can start helping you get back on track with the content. There are no magic fixes. Sending me a message 2 days before an exam saying, I don't really know what I'm doing, that's not enough time to elicit any help. You have to, one, stay current with the material, and two, get help with enough time in order for those suggestions that I can give you to actually take hold. There's no magic fix a day or two before an exam if you're struggling with the material. You need to recognize that, hey, I'm having some severe difficulty with that material ahead of time such that we can figure out what the best path forward is, and you have time to start trying to fix that material. So the best advice we have for success in chemistry is to do little bits of material in small blocks of time, but do them frequently. It's not a sit down for 5 hours and do chemistry. You may have to spend 5 hours or more a day working through some of the material, but that doesn't mean it should be in one big sitting. It should be broken up into smaller time periods. Cramming is not a winning strategy for chemistry. It's one of the biggest mistakes that get made in a chemistry course. It's almost impossible to catch up in not just the chemistry course, but any math or science course if you fall behind. So the best strategy is don't fall behind in the first place. And to kind of give you some ideas is if you were to think about this class in a more traditional setting than you're currently in a regular 15-week semester in a face-to-face format, you would need to be spending a minimum of 11 hours a week. That would include 4 hours of going to lecture, 3 hours in the lab, and then 4 hours kind of independently studying, reading, practicing problems, etc. If you think about that over the course of the semester, 11 hours per week over a 15-week semester, that's 165 hours at a minimum. Sometimes it takes more than that. It takes that same minimum of 165 hours, regardless of how long the semester is, regardless of the format. So it takes that same amount of time in an accelerated online course. If you're enrolled in this course in a 6-week semester, then you're looking at almost 28 hours per week in order to hit those 165 total hours. If you're enrolled in a 10-week course, that's going to mean a minimum of 16 or 17 hours a week in order to kind of stay current with that material. So that's the key thing, is making sure you don't fall behind. Falling behind in chemistry is already tough enough. It's even tougher in an accelerated semester. So you have to make sure that you're not falling behind on things. I just wanted to kind of share this real quick, going through the core syllabus addendum with you. And remember, when things are coming up, please make sure to message me as soon as possible so we can kind of get you on the right path to, kind of figure those things out and you can have a successful semester.